is Native Maps.
Sorry.
Cool. My business is called Native Maps. I started it probably 7 or 8 years ago now. We sell minimal city maps online, and we're starting to branch off into national park inspired prints, and been around the Maker City for a while. I really learned about e-commerce through survival. I went to art school and kind of spun off and started this print business really as like a way to support my family. And it's been the exclusive way that I've supported my family up until recently. So it's something that I've learned very much by a little bit at a time as I've needed to, but it's something that can be successful and can create residual income or healthy income for you. But I'm going to share my screen and kind of jump in to real quick. Did anybody see my talk last year at the Maker City Summit? And are any of y'all familiar with that? Okay, cool. A couple of you. I'm going to go through some of these slides just to lay a groundwork. The format for this, is going to be, I'd like to get to like a Q&A kind of part. So if you have any burning questions about e-commerce, think about them and go ahead and put them in the chat. That way I can look at them hopefully while I'm talking, and we can work through some of those. So hopefully it'll be like half me talking, half Q&A. We'll see how fast I can kind of get through this basic information. If I go too fast, feel free to say slow down or raise your hand. I'm going to go quickly, and then we can get to the questions at the end. I really want to help you guys as much as possible while we're on here. And I'm going to share my screen. If I'm looking a little rough, it's because I'm feeling a little rough, and I'm glad we're not doing this in person. I got like a stomach bug a couple days ago, still shaking it off. All right, so I can't see all of you, but I can see some of you. But you guys, can y'all see the screen? Can y'all see my screen right now? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
All right, I always like to start here. E-commerce is hard. Let me just want to make sure I can see the chat in case you guys are talking at me. Okay, got it. Yeah, e-commerce is hard. If you're going through it right now, if you're trying to sell stuff online, you're not alone. It's challenging, it's difficult, it's getting harder, it's getting more saturated. I'm feeling it. Other people are, like the podcast I'm listening to, that kind of stuff. Everything I'm seeing is that it is getting harder. It doesn't mean it's not worth it, and it doesn't mean you can't succeed at it, but you're not alone if you're feeling the tightness, like that vice grip of just selling, like how to actually sell stuff online. Selling things online really comprises of three main factors. You have your traffic going into the site. Make this a little smaller in case. All right. You have your traffic. That's people visiting your site. You have your conversion rate, which is basically whether people are or are not buying, or choosing to buy or to not buy. And then you have your average order value. So that's how much people are actually spending, how many dollars they're spending. So that's your revenue. And those three factors: traffic, conversion rate, average order value. You can literally take those numbers, multiply them, and look at your online sales in Shopify, and that's what they are. So we're going to get into like some quick number examples. Again, just laying the groundwork here. If your traffic to your store, let's say 1,000 people go to your store, 3% of those people convert, they purchase something. That's 30 people. If 30 of those people spend $100, you're making $3,000. So that's how those like three main elements come into play. There's also a really important thing to know when you're talking about these three elements, and it's that you think it's easy to think to increase your sales online, you need to double the number of people coming to your site or triple the number of people coming to your site. But you can actually think about it as just dialing up the knob a little bit in each of these categories will create exponential growth for your business. And that's kind of why I want to focus on conversion rate today, like kind of how to convert your customers, how to get that sale. And so to look at those numbers and how they can grow exponentially, if you increase each of these three factors, right? People coming to your site, the traffic, people, the percentage of people buying something, so that's the conversion rate, and the average order value, how much people are spending. If you increase each one of those by just 25%, that almost doubles your income. So it's just like, again, this is groundwork. This is just a way to think about it. It's not just how many people are coming to your site. A really big part of this is what percentage of those people are buying. And a really common percentage is like 2 to 5% of people. So don't be discouraged if you're seeing like 100 people coming to your site and one person buys something. That's not uncommon at all. Selling stuff online can feel like this a lot of times, where it feels like a lot of stuff to do. These are all of the possible things you can focus on. But again, just to kind of reiterate, all of those things kind of fall into these three main metrics that we're talking about. So for me, it's easier to think about them in terms of these three buckets. So when you're just thinking about your traffic, just thinking about your conversion rate and your average order value, it makes it a lot easier to maybe pick one thing to focus on in traffic, one thing to focus on in conversion rate. So again, just kind of like a lay of the land here. I organize this into sort of a roadmap, an e-commerce roadmap. These are all of the components that impact traffic. And don't worry about taking notes. I will send this out, and they'll email it to the group after this call. But again, just kind of wanting to show you guys sort of a map, kind of where I'm coming from. With traffic, again, it's like there are a lot of things that you can focus on. I generally focus on a couple at a time, try to like move that dial, move the needle just a little bit. Let's see here. So if we double traffic, you're doubling your income. That's pretty, if all things remain the same, conversion rate, average order value. And then when we get into, I just want to make sure, I'm not sure where I was going with that. I'll come back to that if I think about it. But conversion rate, what we're talking about today, is really like this stuff here, like circled by this red. The red arrows kind of show traffic. So 97% of traffic will leave your site. That's totally fine. We can get into stuff like retargeting, and that helps bring some of that traffic back. But I think this really goes to show how important conversion rate is, like that percentage of people that are actually buying, because so few of them will buy. So if you can change that percentage just a little bit, then you can really, like, when you start sending more people to your website, when your traffic starts to grow, you're actually taking advantage of that traffic. And I think this conversion rate piece really gets overlooked a lot of times, and the traffic piece is really emphasized a lot of times. You're thinking about social media, you're thinking about emails, you're thinking about like how to get people to your site. But if you spend a lot of time there and you're not really thinking critically about how to convert customers on your site, then you can lose a lot of potential sales. So again, this is that area. CR stands for conversion rate. That's kind of what I want to talk about today. So I want to jump into some examples. We're going to look at a good number of examples on a variety of websites. I just want to kind of like prime the pump and get those thoughts flowing about how this can impact your website. First example, Etsy. I'm curious, do many of you guys sell on Etsy? If you want to just drop it in the chat if you do. I sell on Etsy. I've been on there for a while. Etsy's a really good place to go to look at conversion rate optimization, because so he said, try it on Etsy, not anymore. Vicky, you're on there. Pat, you're on there. That's great, because Etsy, the great thing about Etsy, there are pros and cons, but I have Etsy, I also have my own site. Etsy's great for optimizations for you. So they have an SEO machine, they have lots of little features in here. They have automatic reviews set up, all of like the e-wallets like Apple Pay, that kind of thing. Etsy is great for that. So these are some of the things that they do. They incorporate video, they prioritize listings with video. Video is a super helpful conversion rate tool. They list discounts really clearly right next to the purchase price. The payment terms they list there right under the purchase price. The e-wallets, they have those. Apple Pay. Scarcity, they actually tell you how many other people have this in your cart. Shipping estimate, like all of these things, it's almost like an Amazon level of making people really comfortable with buying. Even like little things down here, like they have this little carbon neutral tag. They have return, they call out how easy returns are. So these are all things to just kind of like shuffle away, like just this, be aware of it. This is a really good place to go just to brainstorm what you can do on your website. This is, again, I think this is from my talk. This is mostly, this is average order value. So when 3% of that traffic does convert, then you're thinking about how much are they spending. And if you can get that number up, that dollar amount of like taking an average order from $50 to $75 will make a really big difference over the course of 100 sales. So again, just thinking about these things in those three main buckets. And again, this is kind of to illustrate, like, it's overwhelming to look at this full roadmap. I'm usually focusing on a handful of these things at a time. I'm not being obsessive about it. I'm not checking off each one of these things every day. I'm really thinking like one day I'll focus on my conversion rate, or another day I'll focus on the upsell that I have on my website. But all of these things are like, pixels that put together the picture of your website, what people see, what their experience is, and there is a compounding effect. It's like, if you can really dial in a handful of these things, it will create a compounding sales, compounding revenue on your website. And I've seen it happen a lot. And the opposite is true. If you're not really, if you're not dialing in some of these things, if you're not reducing friction for the customer, it can really stall sales. And it's that's just kind of the reality of it. It's kind of the pro and the con. This is an example from our website. I always like to give this one. So on our website, we sell maps, they're prints, and the biggest question we got was, can I buy a frame? Or like, how should I frame the map? So it occurred to me that that's probably a really good upsell moment. And not only upsell moment, but like maybe it's even a friction point. Maybe people weren't buying because they didn't know how to frame the print, and it was just going to be a problem for them later. So I added this. This is in Shopify. It's an app in Shopify that allowed somebody to add a frame, and it was kind of like a rudimentary, sort of an Amazon style add-on. I didn't love it, but I made it live just to give people one option to frame their print. And I saw immediately our average order value went up by at least $10. I want to say closer to 15. It's really difficult to make a leap in your average order value. Like, it really takes intentional moments like this, but I didn't want to stop there. Like, I knew it could still be better. So I used a different app. This app required a lot of setup, a lot of back end. Basically, I wanted customers to be able to shop for their frame in real time. So if you click on our website, if you click this color, the color changes, the color of the map that you're looking at changes. You click a frame, the frame changes. It basically required me to create like 100 different images for each product. So for like the Atlanta map, there are about 100 different combinations that you could have of colors, sizes, and frames. And I kind of figured out a way to kind of automate that, make all those images, plug all those images in, and that increased our average order value by another probably $20. So our average order value went from like 75 to now it's closer to like 120. And again, that's like less marketing dollars I have to spend, less emails I have to send, just less everything. And it's just your store working harder for you. So there's some, like, these examples don't work for everybody, obviously, but there's just a lot of what I'm getting at is like, how can you reduce friction for your customers? This is just another kind of anecdotal kind of number scenario where let's say we doubled our traffic. This might be a good example for like a holiday month where you could doubling your traffic is probably likely, increasing your conversion rate is probably likely, and then at your average order value, implementing something like this, you could see it like a even triple, increase in your revenue. So again, it's all numbers. It's all these buckets of these main 3 buckets of things. Here's another really good site. This is Little Seed Farm. They sell soap. I thought this objection busting kind of these tags here were really nice. Lots of information, but they're all on drop downs, so it's really nice and succinct. And then these lifestyle shots, these lifestyle shots of like not just showing the product, but showing the product in action, the product in your home. That stuff's really important. And again, including like some things about your mission, offering a bundle option, like all those things are really good kind of low friction items. This is East Fork Pottery. I don't know about you guys, but I love looking at other websites. I keep a list of like other makers, other businesses that are probably like a couple steps ahead of me, mostly because I know that they have teams of marketing people that are like A/B testing all of these different parts of their websites. And so that's just a big recommendation. And like, look at other websites, see what other people are doing, copy paste that on your website, benefit from the hard work that other people are doing, especially if they're in your industry. This kind of gets into another, so a lot of what I'm talking about happens on the product page. I'm really not talking a lot about the home page right now. Homepage it's really important, but as e-commerce develops and as kind of the linking of products and the syncing of platforms, A lot of times now you can send customers directly to a product page, and product pages are evolving to become almost more of a long format homepage style. So we sort of adopted that for native maps, and our every product page really looks more like a homepage. Like there's information about here, I'll pull it up so we can look at it. This is our website. This is a new print that we just and so we have the gallery of images here. We've got this kind of like real-time frame your print feature, and then scrolling down, these drop downs, they're collapsible, so it stays really neat. This is like a free sticker promo that we have going on. This is something I started doing, and it's just basically a video of me talking about the print. It's really basic. It's like nothing special at all. You can do something like that on your iPhone, but it shows like, I think it does a lot of things in one small moment, right? It tells people that it's made by like a person, not a big company. It shows me the face of the business and familiarizes, customers with that. It shows the print in different angles, just so you can, a video says a lot more than photos a lot of time. And it's like, I feel like it's low hanging fruit for makers, especially just saying who you are, showing a picture of you, showing a video if possible. Those kind of things like go a really long way. And that's kind of the secret sauce that makers have that big businesses don't have. And I hate getting in front of the camera personally. I think a lot of makers also hate getting in front of the camera. It's just natural because they're generally good people, like they just don't want to focus on themselves. But if you can manage to get in front of the camera to talk about your product, like you are doing your customer service by communicating who you are, what the product is. It's really about them, and it's about you kind of meeting them where they're at. This is another thing I've started doing is like meet the makers, and you guys can copy paste this to your website too. Like people need to know who's making it and where it's coming from. These are kind of navigational collections that you can click into. This is just proof, not social proof. It's I don't know what I'm trying to say. Proof of working with other brands, legitimacy. And then this is UGC, so user generated content, customers with the products. So again, I'm really trying to show people, I'm really trying to like humanize the product, make it as kind of accessible as possible. Making these, I've called out 3 different reviews that are just really nice, like curated reviews, and putting reviews front and center helps a lot also. All right, I see there's some questions. Let me get through some of these examples, and then I think we'll get to the Q&A pretty quickly. So long form product pages. This is East Fork's long form page, and you can see it's a lot of information, but you can see how much work they're doing here. They're showing like the scale of it. They're showing all these key features. I really like that they're showing their employees and the employee quotes, like what they like about it. A lot of really good, there's UGC content here from Instagram, and then kind of like a customers also like kind of section. And then this is their cart. A couple of nice things that they have in their cart, like gift message, in-cart upsell. So all things that reduce friction and increase that average order value. And then this is another good one, another good website just to kind of like keep in your quiver. That's Pillarcase. They make sustainable phone cases, and they actively try different things out a lot. They're testing things all the time. I like how they put this customer quote right up here, like right by the product title. That for some reason, like that, it engenders a lot of trust, and I think it says a lot, and it's different. It's not common to see that. Um, so lots of different kind of tools that they're using here. They have some really good here at the bottom, social proof, and then another big thing that I would always include is like a very strong guarantee. So like if customers are cold, if they haven't bought from you before, you're gonna like they're gonna need some kind of guarantee, some kind of trust factor to like jump over the line and actually decide to spend their money on you. And a lot of this, like, I'm sure a lot of this resonates with you guys and how you shop online. It's like, I think trust becomes like a really big factor right now, especially just because things are so saturated online. All right. And then I really like they have these gifts. And again, these are like these are very small things, but in every possible scenario, I try to add movement to the website. So the second image, I always try to make that a GIF, just so it's like you're seeing the movement. It's like it's a little more captivating than a still photograph. Um, but case they have these GIFs, and then they have this video of like showing them dropping the phone from 20 feet with their phone case. And then here they're pretty much, this is all kind of objection busting. You know, objection busting is pretty much like any objection that your customers might have, anything that they might think about, any reason not to buy, you want to address that really quickly. And you really want to answer all their possible questions right off the bat. And that's it. That's like kind of the end of my examples. I have a couple other things. I put together sort of a cheat sheet of kind of a conversion checklist, things that you can do. These are all things that are really important for your homepage. Again, I'm going to send this out to everybody. And then these are things I thought about for the product page. So this will be coming your way. But let's go ahead and get to questions. Let me see if I can see everybody. So feel free, like at this point, I'd say feel free to unmute if you have any questions and just call it out. I'll read through some of these questions here. Okay, so Kelly, you asked, how do you create the GIFs that you post on your site? There are a couple ways to create GIFs. One is if you have a video and you want to turn that into a GIF, just Google like video to GIF maker, and there's stuff online that'll like immediately create that. The way that I do it usually is in Photoshop. It's a little more involved, but if you have Photoshop, there's a way to take a series of images, kind of like stack them into a GIF and create a timeline where it kind of marches through those images. So that's how I do that. How do you drive traffic and increase conversion on Etsy? That's a good question. What are you duplicating your success on e-commerce, but with product lines where no two things are the same? Ashley, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? What you're thinking there?
So like I feel like it's hard for me because I have like all of my like vintage stuff lives on Etsy. So I can't go in like you and like batch, 50,000 images of this thing because it's always changing.
Yeah.
And so, I've got 5-star reviews and I've got several hundreds of sales and I've got the testimonials and all that, but for something that I guess like my only friction point would be like, I don't have a shelf to put this weird tchotchke on, so I'm not gonna buy it. Like I guess how, you think like a print needs a frame, or a frame needs a print. Like
Yeah.
those two things go really easily together, but it's like, a brass statue of a deer doesn't really need anything. Like, how do
Right,
you,
right. So how do you upsell in that
yeah,
What
situation?
about gift wrap?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think it always comes back to the customer and what the customer might need in that moment. And then also, for example, I know you can do this on Etsy, where if you buy something, you can sort of offer a discount if they buy something else from your shop.
Mhm.
On our website, I created, let's see, can y'all see this like gallery of you guys on my screen, or do you just see this website? Okay, I'm
I
gonna go
see, yeah,
here.
I see the side. I see the gallery on the side.
Okay, cool. Um, so actually, to kind of get to your question, on our website, to create another incentive to increase that average order value, I created this, I used an app in Shopify to create this incentive in the cart. So it encourages additional purchases. So like just it's basically buy more, save more. So figuring out a way to do that where if they're committed to something, maybe like that's a really good moment to capture them. Also, for that kind of thing, I'd recommend following up with email. Etsy, that's really limited. You can determine like what you send them and include links to your website and stuff in there. But I think following up like post-purchase kind of stuff. And for your stuff, I would say that like sort of a newsletter batch release kind of thing where you're working on a handful of products at a time, releasing them in a batch and letting customers have the first access to that through email. I feel like that's a really good format for like creating a little more urgency, a little more like insider club kind of feeling to it. But I see what you're saying, and that is like a unique challenge, especially for your work, especially on Etsy. Um, I think if it were me, I would focus more on encouraging more purchases through like a, incentive.
Because I do,
Um,
so I do like if you favorite something, and then if you buy something, so if you favorite something, there's like a coupon that gets emailed to you for like like favorite 10, so like 10% off.
on
Same,
Etsy, yeah.
yeah. So then same thing if you buy something, you get like another coupon in your inbox that's like, take 10% off a second item. And then I also have one for like if you abandon your cart, like it sends you like, a discount on that. Is that,
Yep.
do you,
Yeah, that stuff on Etsy is really helpful. Like I think that stuff works for sure. I think sticking with conversion rate, like staying on that theme, I would really focus on like showing that item in as many different possible scenarios as you can, as many different lights, even if it's just a tchotchke, like you might do this already, but taking a cell phone video of literally just like panning around the product, 15 seconds, like that's it, super simple. But something like that, just like you holding it, just moving the product around, that's gonna tell the customer a lot about that product. The feel of it, the weight of it, how light bounces off of it. It just says a lot about it. And Etsy does prioritize listings with videos, so it'll kind of boost your listing there too. What else? Let's see. Do you recommend using Shopify instead of Square? There's Square and there's Squarespace, and both of them have website options. Um, I do recommend Shopify. Kelly, what kind of stuff do you sell?
My partner and I sell compound butter, so it's like a packaged food good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are you on Square or Squarespace?
I'm honestly not sure, but we do our website through them, and I've just done a little bit of development with it, but it does seem like it may not have the same options that Shopify does for some of these other features that you pointed out. So
Yeah.
it got me thinking.
I love Shopify. I'm a huge kind of advocate of Shopify. I don't think it's necessary if that seems like a big barrier right away. But I do in e-commerce, there are a couple people, um, that everybody tends to gravitate towards, and they're really like the thought leaders in e-commerce, and Shopify is definitely one of them. I think if you're doing e-commerce, kind of all roads lead to Shopify, unless like there are very few exceptions to that. But I definitely recommend at least looking into it, familiarizing yourself with it as soon as possible. Shopify, like that's not to say like jump on it now, just be aware of it, like start to look into it. I will say like Shopify, the main thing that is their proprietary bread and butter is the checkout. Like they lock down the checkout, like you really can't mess with it very much. And that's because they funnel people from add to cart to purchase very quickly and seamlessly. And that does have a big impact on conversion rate, like we're talking about. So they do that whole thing for you. They make the checkout really easy, and that alone is enough of a reason to jump on to that platform, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Lori, I love your About Us page. How did you get all those cool picture formats? So let's check that out.
I have Shopify, and yeah,
Yeah.
if you go, and I just can't get, so if you
So
go
like
to
this kind of stuff.
you're actually, no, if you go to your About Us, because that stuff
Yeah.
is actually the product information. And it's easy to get product information stuff, but I'm trying to think. I
Dang,
looked at
this
it
is so
earlier.
embarrassing. I just changed my homepage. Where are you seeing the About Us?
But if you go to your homepage and go all the way down to the bottom, oh, and it should be,
Okay.
there you go. There you go, right
Thanks.
there. So
Thank you.
so it's like it opens up with like a full page, and you can do some pictures. And if you go down, like it does
Yeah.
like a picture like that. How did you format that type of a picture?
That's like a theme setting in Shopify. So I purchased a theme that has like basic design elements like this that you can
Okay.
manipulate and move around. That's one of those things. So here's if you guys are interested in Shopify, or if you end up there, here's a big like Shopify secret that I have. And it's you buy the theme, like they're free themes. So if you're not familiar, you buy the subscription, right? That's like 30 bucks a month or whatever, just to host your website on Shopify. But the architecture of your website, that's called the theme. The theme, you can do a free version, which is like just fine. You can do a lot with it, or you can buy a theme that it's a little more developed and it has features like text floating over images and stuff like that. They're usually more stylized.
Yeah, they're about
and
$350 now for any of the
yeah,
themes.
they can be. Yeah, I think the lower end is probably like 180 to 200, and they go up to like 350 for the good ones. But it's a one-time fee. You have it for life, and it comes with support for life. So
Oh,
I'm probably emailing my theme developers like once a week. And they're like really responsive, and it's just for little tweaks on the website. A lot of times they'll respond and they'll be like, they'll give you the code to put in, and they'll tell you how to put it in to make that change, or they'll just do it for you. So that's like it's a huge kind of like secret weapon of like having somebody on your side with website development stuff. that one-time fee will get you a lot of support if it's a good theme.
Okay. All right. Cool. Do you know what theme you have?
Yeah, it's called Venue, and
Okay.
the company that did it is called Safe as Milk.
Safe as milk. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. All right. Thank you.
So Rebecca, you asked, will you be doing another talk in the future on managing and increasing traffic? I'm open to it. I can definitely talk to about that. Traffic is like, that's the tricky part. So Rebecca, what do you make, or what do you do?
Can you hear me correctly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, so I am a recent college graduate and I
Cool.
majored in illustration. So I would be doing a lot of most likely like merchandising like stickers, acrylic keychains. I also screen print, so a lot of handmade goods.
What's kind of like the theme around your artwork?
Character illustration, kind of original ideas that I come up with, or I can also delve into fan art of already existing media.
Cool. So for traffic stuff, they're like, it's tricky. There are lots of different avenues, and I wish we could jump into that more here. It's a challenge for sure. Traffic is like one of the hardest parts, and it's getting kind of more saturated. It's not as easy to participate in things like paid advertising and stuff. So one way is kind of building your own audience on, social media and stuff like that. Another way is more SEO, keyword kind of stuff. But for that, you almost need to be locked into like an industry or a searchable sort of realm. Like that's honestly a big reason we're going into national park stuff, is because we sell we mostly sell these neighborhood maps, but the people aren't going to search for like a Chicago neighborhood map the way they're going to search for a Joshua Tree bumper sticker, So this kind of move in that direction is very much about making the traffic piece easier for us. And so it's very definitely strategic in that way. So we're trying to solve that traffic problem a little bit with keyword friendly kind of stuff. So that probably doesn't, help a ton with the traffic puzzle, because it is such a big puzzle, but that's just a really quick kind of response to that. I think I got to most of these questions. All right, so podcasts that I listen to, I'll put those, I won't spend time on it now, but I'll put those in that document that I'll send out. Is it still worth starting an Etsy shop, or are these shifting to private websites, Instagram, TikTok sales? Yeah, I think again, going back to that like keyword specific products, I think if you're doing something that people are gonna go to Etsy and type into the Etsy search bar for, then it's worth doing Etsy. Like even for our neighborhood maps, our city maps, we still get Etsy sales for those, just because people are typing in Chicago art, or like Chicago poster, or Chicago map. So I think to answer the Etsy question, it really depends on if people are searching for it on Etsy, and there are tools that you can use to see if people are searching for it. I think Marmalade, is an app that you can use to look at how many people are searching for stuff on Etsy. So that's a real quick answer to the Etsy question. Etsy is a search engine, so I would think about it that way. But I do think if you're going to grow your e-commerce sales, a personal website should always be a part of that picture. How can I drive more organic traffic to my site and catch more leads? Moods of Majesty, what are you selling?
Hi, so I sell holistic self-care goods such as body products like soaps, oils, candles. I have gifts, a bunch of stuff, incense, sage,
Cool.
sort of like a new age metaphysical self-care shop.
Okay. What has worked for you in the past for selling or for getting traffic to your website?
Pretty much I social media posts is the main thing I get more action out of right now. I've tried paid ads. It's okay.
Yeah, paid ads it's tough. It's getting pretty saturated too. Um, I think that gets into a little bit more of like a marketing strategy, like how do you how to get traffic to your site. I really like it's funny because I don't think about getting traffic to my site um more than I think about how to convert customers and how to sort of talk to the customers that do come to my site. So I think really thinking about like how to capture them, how to get them, like let's say you sell skincare. I was just talking to a soap maker yesterday, and we were talking about how important it is to get samples into customers' hands. And because that is what really sells the product. And so thinking
Yeah,
about
I've considered and tried that. Maybe I should try some more.
yeah, that's like that method has a lot of benefits to it, right? Like if they check out on your website with a free sample, then you have their email address, you can talk to them again, you can follow up with them, you can create even like an email flow where they get a couple of emails automatically that are kind of checking in on if they like it, if they're ready to buy, introducing you as a maker. So those are some quick ideas. As far as getting traffic to your site in skincare, that's a tricky piece organically online. Um, I generally, when I start thinking about traffic, I try to think about like, what are the watering holes that these type of people are going to, and who are the people that have audiences that speak to those types of people. So maybe it's like, this is a bad example, but like a podcast that's about that specific type of skincare and trying to collaborate or partner with them to access their customers. So this weekend coming up, we just launched this national park print, and I'm kind of pausing paid ads. I'm really not happy with them. And so to get
Yeah.
traffic to our site for this, we're doing launching a giveaway with 4 brands, and all 4 of these brands have like a pretty substantial customer base. They have a lot of followers. So we're gonna do a giveaway. We're all gonna send an email about it on Saturday. We're all gonna post about it on social media on Saturday. And hopefully we end up with a list of emails of people that enter that are, hopefully hundreds of people long. And then we all get to own that list. We all get to talk to those people. Obviously, it's up to those customers if they want to stay engaged, if they want to, like, we need to convince them after that to stick around. But that's one way of getting cold traffic, is through partnerships, through like-minded community of people. I'm a huge fan of that route, especially for makers, because it is so value forward, and it builds trust along the way. So if there's anybody you can collaborate with, I would recommend, or I would kind of start thinking about that direction. I hope that's helpful in like a very bite-sized kind of way.
Yeah.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, you guys? We're getting close to wrapping up, but I really wanna, if anybody has like burning e-commerce questions, or like, I would love to hear what your biggest friction point is with e-commerce right now. Is it like just getting started at all, or finding a platform, or is it you see traffic coming to your site, but nobody's buying? Like, what are some of the big issues that you guys are dealing with?
Not really big one that I have. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can go ahead.
What do you use to simplify shipping? Not just like what you use, not just like a stamps.com or that, but like the stuff. I am constantly drowning in like boxes and wrapping papers and all that. And I know that you have a whole warehouse, so it's probably different, but not just like the physical footprint of everything that you have to ship stuff out in, but also like the expense of it.
Yeah. I can, yeah, so that's a tricky one, I think, especially for your stuff, because every item is unique. Is that right? So you need,
so my Etsy is primarily like all of my brass and like mid-century tchotchkes. So I don't have to have like these huge, hulking packages, but I do have to have I have to have boxes with a pretty decent, that won't crush. And then I have to have a lot of packing materials. So like bubble wrap or, whatever.
yeah, I think we could even talk about this more. Feel free to shoot me an email if I can help more specifically, but just really simply, I try to keep shipping like paper only, and that's easy for me to do. And I keep everything as flat as possible until I need it. So ordering a lot of flat boxes, a lot of things that can like fold up around stacks of prints, and then lots of fill paper, lots of like thick, crinkly craft type paper can be better than bubble wrap in a lot of ways, and it can just package down really in a really small format. So like come on either a roll or like sheets of tissue paper. That's like the main way that we keep it pretty small in our studio.
The cardboard sorry, this is such a microcosm, but the cardboard that the two frame prints that Courtney got for the people coming off council, is that what you typically ship things in, like that cardboard? It was almost like a cross between like a wrapping paper and like a corrugated thing, and then it had the tape on it.
Yep. That's a single-sided corrugated wrap. So it's basically, it comes in a big roll and it's flat. So it's pretty dense, it like doesn't take up a ton of space, and you just pull off as much as you need, cut it, and then you can wrap that and stuff. And that's super sturdy. That comes from Uline. And you can get it cut in custom lengths, like custom sizes. So I definitely check that stuff out for what you need. And it's cheap. It's really cheap.
I actually got one of the prints. I was one of them. Thank you, David.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thanks,
I'm
Lauren.
off the council. So yeah, I was like,
Well,
yeah, I don't have one for my house yet.
Thanks for serving on the council.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. There was somebody else that had a question there. Let's see. What are your thoughts on WordPress? Kristen. Okay. I have really quick thoughts on WordPress. It's mostly like there's some scenarios where it's helpful. WordPress is really appealing because you can customize everything, and it's more open source. But I find that like logistically, when you're talking about conversion rate, an e-commerce forward website is going to be it's going to be better suited for conversion rate. And that there's some like caveats to that, like if you're selling just one thing, or if you're really wanting to do like hyper custom stuff, or if your website has a lot of content on it, like blog posts and things where you need the WordPress, I could definitely see like reasons for that. But I think if your main goal is e-commerce, if your main goal is selling stuff online, I think Shopify is really like the direction that you'll eventually you'll land there, because you'll hit friction points with WordPress that you won't be able to do what you want to do. So I hope that helps. That's purely my opinion. Don't take that as law.
I do
Uh,
have a lot of content on my website. That's why I use WordPress.
Cool. What's your website, or what's your business?
It's Chicken Librarian. I teach traditional Southern Appalachian heritage skills with modern conveniences. So I teach classes. So I'm selling classes off of my website.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily product specific. In
Cool.
that, yeah. So I do. So like for me, I have to have stuff on my website that kind of proves, that I'm authentic. I have recipes.
Yeah.
I have things about my life, what I'm doing homesteading wise and things like that. So, but my conversion rate is like, I don't get a ton of traffic, but I feel like I get a pretty significant amount of traffic, but then selling the classes from that point is where I struggle.
Yeah. Where are the classes hosted? Is that hosted on your website too, or is that like a Teachable or something?
I do it in person right now. I don't have any
Oh, in person. Okay, cool.
yeah, so like around Knoxville.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so sometimes the venue will actually host the sales through their website or whatever, and
Yep.
then sometimes I do it through my website.
Got it. Yeah. That's interesting. That's almost like a whole other realm of like non-product based, or yeah, like so what's your, like, going back to, you have more of a website question. Where should that be hosted? And I think like could offer some conversion rate type things. And I've also seen people do like hybrid websites where their homepage will be WordPress, but when it says like, click through to this class, it clicks through to a Shopify hosted site. That's more kind of conversion oriented, but again, not totally necessary. But with that stuff, I would really think about some like lead magnet kind of stuff. And you may have done this already, but really sort of getting their foot in the door with like like it sounds like you have a blog and you're writing quite a bit of content about this stuff. So you probably have something that's like an ebook or PDF or like a freebie kind of thing. That's a really good way to get people their foot in the door. Anything that sort of bridges the gap between the class and where they're at reading.
Okay.
Moving in that direction and capturing their email. So I think keeping in mind that people are not going to come to your site and buy right away. It's going to be a longer tail where like you'll probably have to talk to them a couple times through email, newsletters, like that kind of thing, before they're comfortable enough to like go see you in person.
Okay. I don't actually do any of the free stuff right now. I'm just kind of rebranding a little bit. That's why I was asking about the WordPress, because I'm actually getting ready to I'm like, is this the best site for me? But it might be just because of the content that I have on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I could help more specifically, but I don't think it's crucial that you switch to Shopify, especially with what you're doing. Yeah, I wouldn't like impress that upon you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? What frames do you use? From John. We have those made locally by a woodworker here in Knoxville. I'm happy to pass along this information. I think that was all right. So Rebecca says, I think the largest struggle is understanding algorithms of current social media platforms and maximizing reach. Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think that's oh, Rebecca already stepped out, but she's not alone in that being the biggest struggle. I think that's a huge struggle and definitely the subject for probably another class. Anybody else? Cool. I think we'll wrap up. We're going to send this information to you, the slide deck and the checklist I have. Hopefully that's helpful. Feel free to send emails to the Maker City also, and try to connect with me if you need to, and I'm happy to help if I can. But thank you guys for joining. I hope it was helpful, at least to lay a little bit of a groundwork for conversion rate on e-commerce sites. All right, I'm
Thanks,
gonna
everyone.
see you
Thank
guys.
you.
Hey, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.